Aloha everyone, welcome to Mystic Movement Astrology, navigating the stars with our feet on the ground. This is your full moon report for September 30th, 2020. Here we are today engaging the mystery, talking about what is happening in the stars right now. There is a lot going on. I am in a different part of the garden today, trying to catch the light because I'm running out of time in the day. And now that Saturn has gone direct, this is something that we are all feeling. Time is a very real thing. And with Saturn retrograde, it was almost as if time had stopped. And now things are starting to move forward. So let's talk about this full moon. This full moon is going to be in Aries. Okay, so a little bit about the astronomy behind astrology. Every full moon is actually an opposition. So an opposition on our 360-degree circular wheel of astrology is 180 degrees separation. So when two planets are in opposition, it's kind of like a standoff. But if we're actually visualizing when the sun and the moon are in opposition, that is when we have a full moon. So that means that the light of the sun is directly shining on the moon, so that from Earth's perspective, the moon is full. Because the way that the sun is shining directly on it, it has no shadow. Now, when it's a new moon, the moon is between the sun and the earth. So the moon is actually blocking out the light of the sun, so we cannot see it at all. Or we are actually obstructing the light of the moon from reflecting onto earth. So with that knowledge, we know that every full moon will always be in the sign that is opposite that of the sun. So now we have sun in Libra. So of course, we have a full moon in Aries. Aries is the warrior. Aries is our self, our identity, our ego, our drive, our ambition, our fire, our willpower, right? So, and this full moon is going to be conjunct Chiron. So I've been talking about Chiron in Aries. Chiron is the wound. You know, it's the wounded healer. So we're going through this Chiron transit collectively in Aries for, it's going to be quite a few years, guys. Like, I think 6 more years we're going through this transit. So it's really bringing up this full moon on Thursday, Hawaii time. Is going to be around midday. A little bit later for you on the East Coast in the evening time. And in Europe, it'll be closer to Saturday. So this is really going to be bringing up our true self, a manifestation of our true self. Full moons are about manifestation. So seeing kind of how we really are, how we really see ourselves, and also seeing the contrasting aspect of our false self. Okay, that mask that we wear, that image. You know, Aries is kind of like the image. We're trying to define ourselves in Aries. It's the first sign, cardinal fire. It's like, I am an individual. Let me assert myself in this way. Let me, put these tattoos on my body, or let me dress in this way that's completely unique and different from everyone else. So we want to have this sense of our individuality, our uniqueness at this time. And that's really powerful. It's really beautiful that we are able to have that clarity, that awareness, that sensation of who we are. But in contrast to our sun in Libra, we have to recognize that we are an individual only because of other people. So we can really only know our separateness, we can really only know our individuality in reflection of the other, in the context of a community. So this is really about integrating that drive to assert ourselves, and also to understand that it's not an opposition. It is an opposition to the extent that we are seeing ourselves as distinct from the other. There is that unbridgeable separateness that exists between all of us. even with connection, maybe even especially because connection. The more intimate and connected we become, the more we become aware of that unbridgeable separateness. And a way to integrate these aspects so it's not like a clashing is to really see that, you know, we are who we are because of other people. And there's a beautiful African Ubuntu saying that says just that. The aphorism goes, I am who I am because of other people. And so I wanted to bring that to you, as well as a wonderful Walt Whitman quote that I always go to. I am large, I contain multitudes. Do I contradict myself? Very well then. I contradict myself. I am large, I contain multitudes. So at this time when you may be seeing like, okay, I'm feeling how I want to really be myself in this new way. Like I want to shed the mask. At the same time, we're seeing how we've worn this mask. It's okay to like or dislike the mask. The important thing is to see it and to recognize that we all have it. Absolutely everyone has it, and it might be easier to see it in someone else. You know, that reflection, that projection in Libra. Really, this time of the full moon in Aries is highlighting, okay, how do we see that duplicity, that duality within ourselves? And full moons are about letting go. So this is going to be about shedding that layer of the self that is no longer serving us in our further evolution. And other aspects that are going on at this time that are going to be contributing to this event is, for the past 3 days, we've had Mercury entered into Scorpio. So we moved from Mercury into Libra, which is kind of very, Mercury was in an air sign. It's kind of like talking about the duality, about the principles, about things on a very like airy intellectual level. And now we've moved the mind, we've moved the communication into the watery, deep, dark element of Scorpio. So anticipate a lot of discussions around taboo, around sex, around death, around these deep inner truths that are now coming up to the surface to be aired. That's what Mercury and Scorpio brings. And next week, this is going to be exact oppositions. We've been learning about oppositions as these kind of standoffs, these opposite points, these polarities that are in communication. And the point is not to pick a side or emphasize one or over the other, but to see how do they mutually enhance each other so that we can find some point of compromise, some point of integration, like the integration of the self and the other with our Aries and Libra axis, and with Mercury in Scorpio, and we have Uranus in Taurus. They're going to be exactly opposite next Tuesday, August 6th. So this is really accumulating, this is really gaining force over the next week. And what this is about is Uranus is a planet of awakening, and Taurus is a sign of the earth. Planet of awakening has been in Taurus. Uranus wants us to awaken our values, Taurus, to the earth. It is trying to awaken us to see what we are doing to the earth, what the earth needs, what the earth is, what is our relationship. We're in Libra season now. What is our relationship to the earth? Do we exist without the earth? Again, we have this full moon in Aries, all about the self. Well, does the self really exist separate from the landscape that it's within? And so these deep truths are coming out, Mercury and Scorpio, in direct reflection and opposition to this Uranus in Taurus. So this is really a time where you might be seeing in the politics and in activism, people starting to voice a lot of these maybe uncomfortable truths and realities for the purpose of awakening us to transform. Scorpio energy is all about transforming our minds with receiving the awakening of the earth. the awakening of the value of the earth. And as it serves, our full moon is the light of this whole chart right now, how it serves our sense of self. So this is really a time where we're awakening to this deeper sense of a true self. Whereas we're seeing this Chiron and Aries, this false self that maybe always kind of thought of itself as separate or different from the earth or superior in a way, and maybe even just to recognize that we've all taken part in that to a certain extent. And this is a collective chart reading, right? This is about all of us in this together. And as I've been coming back to over this past 18 months, we're having, and we're going to keep having until this transit is through, is our South Node in Sag, right? With our North Node in Gemini. So the new facts that are coming in are causing us to transform those old beliefs. And Sagittarius is all about the natural world. Sagittarius is all about transpersonal consciousness. So how is this new awakening through these deep truths awakening us to the facts that we can then integrate into new belief systems? So the extent to which we are clinging to our old conditioned beliefs out of the weakness of our false self-ego, Chiron and Aries, we are not going to be evolving at this time. That is going to be the lower expression of this energy. But to the extent that we can actually self-reflect, go within, and to see things as they are beyond our likes and dislikes, that is going to be a huge transformational power. And if we can do this on an individual level, we can do this on a collective level, because that's just a matter of scale. Because we are all connected in this fabric of life. And even though we have the beautiful experience to feel ourselves in this body, in this vehicle, in this instrument of the senses as distinct from the world so that we can relate to it, we also have to see how there is an interpenetration that's going on. Have you ever walked in the woods and it's completely silent, and you're walking barefoot and you're breathing in the smells and you're hearing the sounds of the birds and you're feeling the earth beneath your feet, and you're sensing your breath coming in and out, and sensing that you are receiving the oxygen from the trees, and as you exhale, the trees are receiving the carbon dioxide from your breath and transforming it back to oxygen. And then to have the sense that you are looking, that you are not just looking on the world around you, but that it is calling to you to see it, to be seen. And maybe even that the world is regarding you as well. Maybe something is looking back at you. Maybe the bird is looking at you. Maybe the tree notices you. So this is a way that we have to awaken, right? Maybe to some of you it sounds, oh, well, that's ridiculous, that's crazy. But that's your old belief systems telling you that. So this is a really powerful time where we need to learn how to disengage from the story of the past. The stories that we've taken for granted about what is real. And with this North Node of Gemini, it's about gathering new facts, new experiences, and forming new beliefs based off of those experiences. And allowing those experiences to authentically come from you, and not from the impressions that you're having from others, from what you see on Facebook or Instagram or on the news. And to realize that the most reliable resource for the truth in the world around you is what you can experience in your five senses. And that is what Taurus is all about. Sight, taste, sound, touch, feeling. How much do we get cut off from that because we're just in our head, thinking that we already know it all? And that's what creates this polarity in the politics. It's like, well, I know, no, I know, no, I know, and I know. And the more that these dualities, these polarities fight against each other, as if one exists in spite of the other, and the other thinks it exists in spite of the other, the more they push each other apart and actually run the risk of obliterating each other. But if we're able to see that actually, you know, the opposites exist because of each other, you know, the left exists because of the right exists because of the left, there can be this kind of appreciation. Like, I know who I am because I know I'm not you. Well, I know who I am because I know I'm not you. And then it's like, okay, well, I kind of appreciate you. Oh, I kind of appreciate you too. And then all of a sudden they kind of start to come into the middle through this appreciation, this gratitude for what we can see that is positive about the other, and to see that the other is what enables us to be. Another aspect that is weaving into this whole story of the chart as we're looking at it for this full moon in Aries and on to the weeks to come. This full moon energy, it lasts as the moon begins to wane up into our new moon, where we'll start a new phase. So another thing to notice is that we have Neptune squaring the nodes. So we talk about this nodal axis, the opposition of Sagittarius, the natural world, our beliefs, and the North Node in Gemini, the facts, our empirical evidence and experience, our knowledge that we bring to our beliefs. So we have Neptune squaring this. So there's a skip step there. So Neptune, when it's squaring, creating a 90 degrees, it's like, hey, look at me, I'm right here. This is the skip step. This is the point of resolution for this opposition. Neptune is about spirit. Neptune is in Pisces. So there's a spiritual element that needs to be integrated here. And Neptune is sextile our Jupiter and Pluto, the midpoint actually of Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn. So this is like, Capricorn is like a structure, a house. It's like the solidity of our beliefs with Jupiter there. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, rules our beliefs. And Pluto is about transformation. So with this relationship, it's like we're inside a house and we're like looking out the window, but all we can really see is the window itself. We're like, oh yeah, the window's a little foggy, you know, I should clean that. But we cannot see through the window and see actually the landscape that's beyond. We're kind of stuck in our little house. And so Neptune is like the eyes, is like the eyes of the higher mind. It's like looking into someone's eyes and maybe you see like, oh, like her eyes are blue and green, and that's pretty, or that's nice, or you know, that's different from my eyes are brown. It's like that's only the surface level. It's like, can you look beyond what the window looks like? Can you have a feeling of what's there beyond? It's not so much a thought. It's not so much, you know, Capricorn is kind of about the concrete. It doesn't necessarily see what is beyond the concrete. So there's something that needs to transform there. There's something that needs to fall away. Maybe we need to just open the window. Maybe we need to look into another person's eyes with a different degree of openness, not projecting all of these judgments and ideas about, oh, I know what I see because I've seen this before. It's like, how do we look with fresh eyes? And that's what this skipped step in Neptune is telling us, you know, through our dreams, through our vision, through our intuition, our deeper sensing. And it's not just looking with the eyes, it's like looking with the heart. Looking with the willingness and the intention to receive something that might surprise us. Receiving something that maybe is going to be a mystery. Maybe we can't definitively categorize it and label it, and put it into one of our boxes of how we understand our reality. And that's okay. No, this is all about engaging the mystery. Astrology is all about engaging the mystery. Yes, we want clarity. Yes, we want truth. Yes, we want answers. But this is what this full moon in Mars is telling us. We don't actually get that because we're going to like will it to happen. We actually know how to act from when we can sit still and listen and allow that instinct to arise by itself. So this is the kind of paradox of this Aries Mars energy, is that while yes, it is about will, it is about the self, it is about more of that masculine, assertive energy of like, this is me. In order to truly be able to express that, it's like being able to, it takes more of an effort and more of a willpower to be able to sit with the unknown, to be able to sense that instinct within and to withhold our expression until the right action arises of itself. So that is the challenge at this time, is how do we internalize this energy of the full moon and maybe not just blast it away, but allow it to kind of brew this fire of vision, this fire of feeling that's going to be part of this alchemical transformation within us that is allowing us to burn away those aspects of the self that are no longer serving us, and to really shine that light of our true self in contrast to the reflection of the other. And the more that we can be that clear and honest reflection to the other people in our life, the more that we're going to feel that in return. So if you want to truly be and express yourself, don't go about it by taking that, like taking the power, taking the stage, taking and asserting yourself, but almost like allow it to be invited. Energy is about inviting through the reflection, like a pool of water is showing you yourself because it's receiving what is in front of it. So like we need to do that for each other, and we need to feel that from the other and realize that reciprocity that's there, and that this is all connected. And I think that this full moon will be a very, very powerful experience to come into that sense of your true identity at this time. And we have Venus in Leo, which is actually trining Mars and the South Node. So we have this grand fire trine going on at the same time, which is really transformative with the personal planets, the Venus and Mars. This is like our love and our desire and our beliefs. So if we can really allow ourselves to observe what is happening, to observe these patterns of how we typically relate to our values and our motivations and our sense of ourself in relationship to our belief systems, when we can really allow whatever is there to just percolate and burn and allow it to transform itself. There's maybe not so much that we have to do as much as we just have to be open to allowing this process to be undergone within us. It's just like that willingness to burn, that willingness to sacrifice what isn't true, what isn't serving us, and to have that humility to really let it go and to really take ownership for how we haven't maybe served ourselves in the past. Or sometimes really coming into our true identity is recognizing what the false identity is, and there's no shame in that, but just seeing, okay, yeah, I know who I am because I know who I'm not. And another quote I came across this week was, nothing happens without order, and nothing changes without chaos. So I think we're definitely feeling that dynamic right now. Everything seems to be changing. There is a lot of chaos. This fire trine is very real in the physical world manifesting. I mean, the natural world is all kind of happening on the South Node in Sag, and coming back to our awakening in Taurus, it's like this is physically, the world is physically burning to show us that our personal actions, desires, motivations have caused this. So this is another way to look at this fire trine. Venus and Mars, you know, we've created this, and to be able to receive that with humility, like, wow. You know, even if it wasn't you specifically, but just taking that hit for humanity and feeling that fully. I mean, that's courage. Like, courage is the ability to feel empathically for the earth and for the others in the earth. Courage is not trying to obliterate fear from our reality, because it's never going to happen. The only thing that we can do to counter this state of fear is to observe and witness more beauty. And that's another thing with this Uranus and Taurus. Awaken to the beauty all around you. You know, the wind in the leaves, the feeling of sitting on the grass and on the earth. Awaken to that sensation. The more that you see the beauty around you, the more you are a part of this change in the direction for good. So, nothing changes without chaos, and nothing happens without order. After we go through this, so the full moon, that's our last night with Venus at the critical degree in Leo. It's like we're really feeling that full heart, like our inner child, and the love that we want to experience, the world we want to be in. We're feeling that height of the ideal. And we only feel that in contrast of what is not ideal. And so how can we really harness that manifestation at the full moon? Harness that manifestation of, okay, this is the world that I see. This is the world I want to bring into fruition. And then Venus goes into Virgo. So it's about how are we going to order our lives in order to make these values manifest in reality. So this is a beautiful, beautiful time of interconnectivity, of seeing things as they are, of seeing ourselves clearly, fully, good, the bad, the ugly, the potential, the mistakes, the future, the past, and the people and the relationships that bring out the best in us. To really focus on those relationships and realizing that no man is an island, that even though you might want to believe that you can shut off the rest of the world and just be more powerful on your own, you know, like one of my favorite astrologers always brings up the example of Castaway. You know, Tom Cruise is on an island all by himself in that movie Castaway, and nobody can stand to be so isolated that he actually makes a companion out of a volleyball. So don't isolate yourself to the point where you have to communicate with inanimate objects. See the people around you as enhancing the evolution of who you are, and grow into that fullness, accept it, receive it, allow it to just manifest from instinct of your innate being. Maybe it doesn't have to be as much of an effort as we think. Maybe the effort is to sit still and wait for the right action to arise by itself. Aloha, thank you for listening to this full moon report. I wish you the best, and I look forward to talking with you on the other side into the new moon. Namaste.